Hello and welcome to another episode of It Had to Happen, the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Karter, and today I am feeling, I'll be honest, today is day seven of my Ramadan fast. Now, as you know, if you're a subscriber to this channel, if you're new here, I am a Christian believer, but a friend invited me to join him in a Ramadan fast. If you're not familiar, I suggest you go look it up, but I'll give you the highlights. So it's a 30-day fast where it's a dry fast, not like a water fast where you only drink water, or a limited fast where you take out certain foods. This fast is a dry fast where you don't eat or drink from sunrise to sunset, essentially. And I am someone who fasts quite often. And I'll be honest with you, this is tough. At least the first few days were tough. Today's day 7 for me. But the first few days were pretty tough. And I'm pretty sure the phrase find something safe to do was invented during Ramadan, because when people are, especially for first timers, when you're hungry and you're thirsty and you're doing life, find something safer to do than to bother me, because this ain't what you want. Especially when I'm thirsty and hungry. It's one thing to be hangry and just toss back a beverage. It's another thing to be hungry and thirsty. Find something safe to do. I'm not the safest thing for you to play with right now. So find something safe to do was, in my opinion, invented during Ramadan for first timers. But overall, my experience has been very positive. I'll be honest, the first day I was nobody knows how the world is spinning and how the world is changing and time is changing more than someone who's watching the sunrise and sunset hours or time for each day. But on the first day, about 6:18, the sun set, and I prayed before I took in any food. But I prayed and I thought about how this is a choice for me. I thought about how I made a conscious choice to not eat and not drink. But for some people, this is their life. Like, this is their everyday. And a big part of Ramadan is supporting, helping, feeding the less fortunate. And I thought about it and I got emotional because I was like, wow, I made a choice and I'm feeling this way after one day. Imagine the people who are on day 12, forced to be on day 12 or forced to be on day 40. So I got emotional and, like, I don't know, it struck a nerve with me, and I was just like, God, continue to use me, continue to help me help the people in any way you see fit. So fast forward, day 4 wasn't as intense as day 1 and 2, because I think my body had gotten used to it. I had gotten used to it. Unfortunately, I was inviting another friend to join me on this fast, and he is a researcher. He researches everything. So he had done some research, which I should have done before I started. I just knew what to and not to do, when to and not to do it. Let's just get into it. But he did some research, and by day 4, I had established a strategy for myself, right? I wake up around 4:30. I drink lots of water, about 60 ounces of water. I know you're not supposed to chug, but I just be thirsty. I'm not drinking 60 at a time, but I'm drinking consistently for the next 2 hours before the sun rises. I try to have a meal. Sometimes I don't have a meal. Sometimes I have a snack. Like this morning I had an apple. I just wasn't hungry. I didn't want food, so I just had a snack. I had an apple. It was delicious. Sometimes I'll have a protein shake before my fast, or I'll have a oatmeal, or like one morning I had a chicken thigh because I wanted something warm and succulent, and the baked chicken thigh was what it was. So just developing a strategy on the fly, and I found something that works for me. Fast forward to today, day 7. I woke up this morning, had my apple, had 60 ounces of water, and I feel great about the fast. Like, there's so much food noise that we don't even know that we are encountering throughout the day. It's wild. And I think what makes it a little bit more tough for me is having to prepare food for someone who's not participating in the fast, i.e. my child. So preparing 3 meals a day for her, plus snacks, and watching her just like, I don't want that, or I'll eat some of it, take 3 bites and put it down. I'm just like, you have no idea. Some people are really hungry right now, and not just people who are fasting, but people who are forced to fast, right? So All in all, it's been a great experience. I do recommend that every Christian participates. I know we're also in the middle of Lent, so Ramadan and Lent have overlapped, which doesn't happen as often, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I encourage you to get into it. It is a lot of work. I can feel myself being more disciplined. What I tell myself is starting to shift. What I tell myself I'm capable of is starting to shift, and my actions are following what my thoughts are. I think I mentioned in my last video with Lourdes used to say, thoughts become things. My thoughts are changing. My discipline is changing. Therefore, my actions are changing. And ultimately, my life is changing. Stay tuned because we'll see what happens. I'll be honest, it has been a great experience so far with this particular fast. I look forward to day 30, which I don't even know when it is. I'm just going with the flow. I know we got 21 more days left. I'm excited to get to the end and see what happens, what has happened, how I feel, and I'll keep you updated on that. So thanks for my little quick TED talk on fasting Ramadan as a Christian believer. But for today's episode, I do want to get into something. I've been heavy into documentaries lately. Like, it's something about seeing God in real life situations that are both good and bad that excites me as a believer. One of the first documentaries I watched was, I think it's called I Ain't Scared. Let me just double check. Okay, yes, so I was right. I'm always right. I love that for me. But the documentary is called I Ain't Scared of You, a tribute to Bernie Mac. And I watched it, and I'll be honest, I don't know how you can miss someone you've never met, but I genuinely miss Bernie Mac. And he's not the only one on my list, right? I genuinely miss Nipsey Hussle. I genuinely miss DMX. Mind you, these are people I've never seen eyeball to eyeball, right? We've never met in person. We've never had a conversation. Jesus, I miss him. Like, these are just people that I miss that walked the earth, right? Had their time. They've gone on to glory, but somehow I felt an emotional connection to them and their art and their work that I miss them. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, I get it, but that's just my little weird truth. So where was I? Okay, so I'm watching this documentary, and it was produced by his daughter, which I thought was so cute, which means she got to hear firsthand all of the stories, all of the fun, all of the quirks that her dad had on and off the screen. And, this is why we love him. My daughter and I still watch the Bernie Mac show, and it's funny because I never was a huge fan of the Bernie Mac show. But after he passed, like, that's the only way I can get a little bit of him on the regular. And we call him Uncle Bernie. My daughter's like, Uncle Bernie, y'all. But one thing that I loved is love learning about him is that he not only was he that deep dark chocolate, and why do chocolate people love to wear white? Like, it's the contrast for me. But I think it's somewhere in the documentary you'll see him on stage in an all white suit, deep dark chocolate with the hair kind of pressed out with the curly situation. Like, it was such a vibe. But I love learning how, like, he loved to be well dressed, which he was. He loved getting manicures, which I wasn't aware of, but you know what? It makes sense. Like, if I think about who he is and how he showed up, like, yeah, like, clean my nails, like, fix my hands up. I can see that, and I love to hear about how much he loved his wife. Like, yes, please. I think Chris Rock mentioned it. He said, I don't know a man that loves his new wife as much as Bernie loved his wife of 20 plus years, I think it was so refreshing in a culture where marriage is I'm not going to say it's not honored, because I do think people get into marriages hoping that they will last forever and hoping that, they get that same type of longevity. Whatever, I'm sure it wasn't a smooth ride, but whatever it was, they stuck together. And I love that. And I just loved hearing about how much he loved her, and to see her on screen talking about the time, when he met her mom, and her mom was like, ooh, he sure is black. And I know they're from Chicago, but that is such a Southern way of, like, thinking and being. And I really enjoyed the documentary. It was, I think, where the God showed up in the story for me, obviously, throughout, like, him honoring his marriage. I think God's blessings come with it. I know that when you honor your wife, and you respect her and you love her the way God has intended for you to love her, blessings come with it. And I believe his life was rewarded with success because of that type of love, not only for his wife and for other people, but also like the story is very similar to what I talked about with Mike Epps, which is taking a step of faith to, in what you believe in, believing enough in yourself to take steps of faith. And I'm certain that God rewarded him for taking those steps of faith, which I think is a beautiful testimony for us, all of us, to aspire to have one day. Like, what are you believing God for? Okay, you believe in him for it. Are you taking steps toward it? Like, help a God out. Hey, he don't need your help, but I think he needs to know. I know that God needs to know that you are faithful enough or believing enough to actually take action toward the thing, because we know one of the most famously quoted scriptures in the world: faith without works is dead, right? Which is so true. It was in this documentary I learned that Bernie Mac understood that to the point where he did the work through faith, and we got a hell of a career out of him, watching him on screens, comedy specials, etc. But this is like the coolest thing that I learned, and I like this is still making me smile just thinking about it, right? So his real famous stand-up bit that I think it was Def Comedy Jam, where he's like, "I ain't scared of you, kick it!" Him and Kid Capri up there like making magic, right? So I learned through this documentary that the people that came on stage before Bernie Mac got booed. And apparently he was coming out, not that wasn't his original like punchline. He was coming out letting the crowd know, like, I know you boo him, I know you boo him, and I know you boo her, but I ain't scared of you, man. And I thought that was so cool. And to me, that's a it had to happen moment, right? If those people never got booed, he would have stuck with whatever it is he wrote before he came on stage, which I'm sure would have been funny. But the it had to happen moments, they got booed. He came out saying, I ain't scared of you. And he took off and he became the legendary Bernie Mac that we all know and love. That's what this podcast is about. Finding those moments and recognizing them and like using that as motivation to like accept the things that are happening around us, to us, and through us. Because if it didn't happen, Bernie Mac probably still would have been a star. But I am certain that God used those boos for him to take off. And I think that is so cool. That is such a God way of doing things. So shout out to Bernie Mac and his family. We love you. We miss you. Your comedy, there's so much truth in your comedy that that people will use for decades to come for historical reference, because it is real. And to know that you turned a comedy bit into a TV show is just chef's kiss. Peace out, Bernie Mac. We love you.